the students wanted to hear from our principal. What's Principal Andrea Nolan like beyond the role that she plays at the university? And I have been trying to put together a project called Happiness Project in search of real stories and inspirations which would admire youngsters to take over the world and lead a great happy life. Here we are. Thank you so much for accepting this invitation or the request to have a conversation with the presidents from Edinburgh Napier Students Association representing the whole of the student community. I am Geou Akshil, and as you all know, Andrea Nolan, the principal of Edinburgh Napier University. There you go. Opeyemi, the president for education and employability, and Ryan, the president for sports and well-being.
Yeah.
We have, we can see the weather is beautiful. It's beautiful in its own ways, you know. The rain is good in some parts of the world. Do you enjoy your time away from work? Has it ever been away, or was it work and life together?
Well, I get a great enjoyment out of my work. I don't see them as entirely separate. I love my work broadly. There are things I don't like everybody. I've met some amazing people through my work. So I have some very close friends. We kind of grew up as academics, if you like, together. So there's always a bit of a thread going between my work and my life. But equally, I have a group of people. My family home is in Glasgow, where we walk together, and none of those have any link with my work. We read books together and we do things together. So I love walking. I enjoy playing the piano, so I do that very often to chill. And so my life isn't partitioned quite the same way between work and home life. And of course I love being with my kids. As they've got older, their lives are really all very interesting. They're all very different. So.
Interesting. It was very good to learn that you had your family over, especially you mentioned about the pandemic, which was a massive hit on everybody's life, and it put things away in different ways, isn't it? Things that we've never seen before in the past. We did not know how to cope up. How personally did you handle that situation? And I'm sure you would have faced many other scenarios in different situations.
Yeah, it was a particular challenge. I mean, you face challenges along the way in your life in different ways, personal or work or whatever. But it was quite different. We'd not faced anything like it before, and I discovered that I'm not great working from home. I really like the buzz of being with other people, and it's not quite the same online. So that was a real challenge for me. And it was a challenge here in the university because it was also new and we had to do so many things. But what was very reaffirming was the way the university community responded. So people just took decisions, did things in new ways just to deliver for students. And I've learned a lot as a leader from that. Because I couldn't be there taking every decision. There were so many that had to be taken. People went on and did it. And there's something for me there about learning to trust people who are going to make good decisions for their students. So that was interesting. I have a daughter with special needs, and she suffered a lot during the pandemic. So that was another experience personally, and how the impact on the services and that she has been sustained and is still not back to where it was. So it was a strange time, but I think at work, we did a lot that was pretty amazing.
Totally. And we as internationals, I come from India. I come from a small town in India called Tamil Nadu. It's by the coast, filled with a lot of mountains and stuff like that. And the pandemic out there was very different as well.
In what way?
It was a lot challenging, as we had a completely different situation where we had to face our family full time. And then we did not know initially what to do. And then it led to something very, very nice. We started trusting everybody else. We started delegating tasks, like you said. And when I look at it, even in bigger organizations like this, which you lead today, the principle is pretty much the same.
It is, yeah.
Isn't it?
Absolutely.
It very much feels like everything starts from home and it spreads to the wider community. And I've really admired the part of you where I see the mother in you, and an eminent leader in you, and a speaker, and also a very, very effective leader, which is a very inspirational thing. How was it in Africa for you? How would you like to introduce yourself and tell us the story of what it was like?
Yeah, sure. So I'm Opeyemi Akindehin and I'm from Nigeria and I came 2022. So yes, the pandemic hit when I was in Nigeria and for us it was quite unsure. It was, as you said, it was a new thing. Nobody had experienced it before. So we approached it quite unsure, and most Nigerians were really stubborn to believe that, this was happening. So people still went out and met other people, and that increased the spread of COVID. So we had a massive outbreak of COVID just because people weren't sure what was happening and they had to go to work. Another thing is, back in Nigeria, there's nothing like working from home. That concept had not started then. So COVID meant everybody had to stop work, which meant there was no money coming in for family members or, heads of the family, which usually are the fathers. So it was quite
Very challenging.
It was quite tricky because then the father would be home with the family expecting money from the father, but the father can't do anything because he's not working. And you then had to stay in the same house,
Tension.
Exactly, there's tension, there's, anger because they're not working. People are not used to staying home with their kids. And it's so strange, especially fathers, they're not used to staying home with their kids. Mothers usually are. So children then tend to go visit the father and say, Dad, I want this, Dad, I want that. They're like, no, go meet your mom, but you're home and you're here, so I should talk to you. It was quite tricky, but I feel like it was quite a learning curve, and this is not just for Nigeria, but for the whole world, really. And we did experience it, and we have learned from it, and we're moving forward. So yeah,
That is a lot of hope.
It was a lot. Yes, it was a lot, but yes.
Yeah. How about you, Ryan? How was it in Scotland?
Yeah, so I lived in Edinburgh all my life, so I've never moved from Edinburgh. But I was in my first year when it hit, and it was about February, March, so about halfway through the second trimester. And originally we got a free pass on all our assessments and stuff until the first year. So originally I was like, oh, what's going on here? Like, I wasn't expecting it. And then you just thought it'd be like a 1 month thing or a 2 month thing, and then it got more, 3, 4, 5, almost 2 years in the end. And you're just always thinking like, I'm going to eventually get back out in a month, I'm going to eventually get that, but it just kept getting postponed by the point where you just getting, are we ever going to leave the pandemic? And it was an interesting period, definitely a very interesting period.
It was tough. It was tough on everybody in the university, but on first years I thought particularly. You only just put your feet under the table and suddenly
I missed all my freshers week stuff. I was 17, so I just turned 18 in about October. Had a big exam and assessments coming up, so didn't really go out much. Started second trimester, really started like the social life of university, and then just hit me the pandemic. So that side of me, but it affected everyone in different ways. So
Yeah.
Totally. I hope you are enjoying your time at ENSA. We have organized so many events for you.
yeah, so many.
But moving out of that tricky situation, and I came into this country when the country was progressing from the downtime of COVID and slowly picking up. The support that I got from this university was quite useful. The community, the feeling of community. I always had people at least to go out and talk. And today I and all of us represent the whole of the student community here, which is quite a heavy job to start with, I feel.
big responsibility.
It is. When we ran for the elections, I did not, to be honest, I did not know the kind of influence that I had signing up for this. And today, I look at the global news that I see, the climate crisis. I should tell you all the story of how I went back to India soon after my completion of the course before graduation and taking up this role. We, on weekends, would go to beaches. And when we used to go to the beach, there was a long beach like that. And this time when I had gone back home, the ocean has taken over about 1.5 kilometers of distance into the beach, which means it's getting closer to the villages which are there. I was terrified. And I was telling my friends and family, this is global warming. And before I said that, I went to the community of people there who live by the ocean and make their life from the ocean. Asked them, do you think it's bothering you? They said, we are losing our life. Every day is a deadly business now. When you see climate crisis and things like that, and you as a leader of this organization who represent and serve the community of people from across the world, I think we've got about 130 plus countries, students and staff working, 23,000 odd students and about close to 5,000 staff. How do you process this? Because I sometimes go back home and I'm terrified thinking about these thoughts.
Well, yeah, and when I think of it like that, you think of it in terms of your own family or people around you, and you think the impact on particularly my children and their children and everybody's children, the generations for the years to come. And I think certainly with the climate crisis, it's when something happens you as an impact on you or the people around you that it really brings it to life. And so I think it can be hard for people to kind of give up traveling in cars or do this because it seems such a big problem. So I'm a great believer in chunking things down to the little steps that you can take. Every step makes a difference. And also passionate about the power of education. It might not be specifically in sustainability, but in how to think for yourself and think critically and make decisions and take a lot of complex information and use that in your skills to shape the people that you can influence. So I'm just passionate about all of education, but the sector we're in, higher education, and that's why we're here. That's a key purpose.
Everything's a personal story and experience, isn't it?
Yeah.
I remember when I lost my aunt, I was holding her and I realized she's no more. It hit really hard. It hit really hard because lives are very short-lived and we take it for granted sometimes, but when we start appreciating the little things and start practicing, it could be meat-free Mondays that we practice in our university amongst the students and staff. Those are global impacts which we are spreading from here today. It's a beautiful lesson to look at, isn't it? Wonderful. You said you've enjoyed learning and you're very passionate about serving. How did this journey start, Andrea? Did you anticipate the Andrea Nolan today years and years ago?
No, absolutely not. Absolutely not. So when I was growing up, I always wanted to be a veterinary surgeon.
Which you are very successfully.
Which I am a vet, once a vet, always a vet, so I identify as a veterinary surgeon. And so I graduated in Dublin and I went into practice in England, in Oxfordshire, and I practiced for a short period of time. And I'd always been interested in some of the physiology, pharmacology when I was in vet school. So I saw a post advertised to look into a new intravenous anesthetic for use in horses. Horses, at that time, it's very challenging, and it was very challenging anesthetizing horses because they're not designed to lie down or on their backs or whatever, really, for any length of time. So I thought it was interesting. So I went and did that for 2 years in Cambridge. I did my postgraduate clinical qualification, so it's a veterinary anaesthetist. And I decided I really liked research, really liked it. So I moved to Bristol and did a PhD in Bristol. Loved doing it. I then spent the best part of a year in Germany, in the Technical University of Munich. I went there to do some more research, a different aspect. But if truth be told, there was also a love interest. My partner at the time moved to Munich, so I thought,
why not follow?
I could do two things at the one time. So I did some good research, and that partner is my husband. We've been together for many, many years. Came back, did a fellowship at Cambridge University, more research, and really enjoyed it. But one of the features of particularly science is getting your first permanent, as it were, job. A lot of the science careers are 3 years. So I moved to the University of Glasgow and developed my academic career in Glasgow. I started as a lecturer, built up my research, all that kind of stuff. And then in 1999, I became Dean of the vet school. So it was one of those things that I probably wouldn't be here now, only the dean, say a year before, stepped down because he'd suffered from long-term illness. And there were a couple of other people that I'd have thought would pick up Dean, but one just moved to somewhere else about 3 months before. And then someone else moved somewhere else, and suddenly there was no obvious follow-on, so I put my hat in the ring and became the Dean of the faculty. Because I thought, I fancy this. I'd like to see how to shape the future for the vet school. And then when I started there, I spent 5 years in the Dean's role, and then I spent maybe 4 or 5 years as a vice principal there for learning and teaching. That was another great learning experience because I'd been in a vet school for, vets and animals and disease and education and research. And then suddenly I was vice principal learning and teaching in Glasgow Uni with, I was talking to social scientists and arts and humanities and engineers. And it was really interesting. I felt completely out of my depth for about a year. Developed there, and then I became the deputy when a new principal was brought in, Anton Muscatelli, who's still at University of Glasgow. And I took on some other portfolios around international, worked with the colleagues in human resources to do some work there. So got a lot of experience, and then this opportunity came up. And I thought, I fancy that. I want to leave my own ship now. I really loved working at University of Glasgow. I was there for a long time, and it was very good to me in terms of career opportunities. All my jobs were quite different.
Right.
So, and then I came here 10 years ago. Can hardly believe it myself.
It's flown past
10
like
months.
that. Yeah, and we are halfway through our tenure in the office as presidents, and we have heard so many good things about you.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
I never hear these.
Well, here I am telling you.
I generally get things like X isn't working. Why? It's too bureaucratic. But that's not.
Well, I somehow look at people as just human beings beyond work. And it has worked out for me. And people ask me, how do you go in for meetings and just talk what you feel? Because I feel the other people on the table are also humans with emotions and feelings. And like you rightly said, Opey would be Opey, I'm sure, is very excited to have heard this about your educational journey and how things have turned out the way it has become.
Many, you just think, I'll try that. Yeah. But
does that lead to any questions?
Yeah, I just wanted to thank you for knowing me so much, but I just wanted to ask, throughout all the process and applying for each of those positions, what would you have said your drive was? Was there final stop, or was there, I don't know, end position where you started applying for these roles, or you just wanted to experience and explore?
I think certainly in the middle of my career, opportunities arose, and somebody said, "Do you fancy that?" or "What would you think about that?" And I thought, "Yeah, that sounds interesting." So from when I became dean, they've been 5 to 6 year chunks. And in big organizations, you don't make change in a year. You take time. And the opportunities arose. So I say to my children, just always be aware of what's going on around you, that you might fancy doing something different. I mean, I stayed in higher education, and I'm very grateful for all the opportunities I was given. And I've enjoyed every single role. I've loved it. Because they're really interesting places to be, universities. You've got fabulous students, young people, or whatever, people with different experiences, very young people, or very young people. People with different experiences, and the joy of working with students is fantastic. Research, I love research. I've always enjoyed. There's a problem, you want to tackle it. Oh, you didn't get that right. Maybe there's another question to ask. So the experiences are amazingly diverse, and the roles I've had were very different. But I just think it's sometimes grabbing an opportunity that arises.
Have there been moments of uncertainty? Because we hear this from students a lot about, oh, I'm studying, I do not know what's next. Have you had any instances which can be shared with our student community? I mean, if not, it's fine. Let's spread the message of hope.
Yeah. Probably had to pick between two, maybe two job opportunities, or you had to take one over the other.
Well, I've had my disappointments, everyone does. When I went for promotion first time to SL, I didn't get it. So I went back a second, or third time. If you're disappointments like that. When I thought I wanted to run my own ship, as I said to the principal of Glasgow University, who I'm really, it was fantastic working for him, but I just said to him, I'd like to run my own ship now. That's where I suppose to a certain extent, I thought about what was the kind of institution I wanted to work in. And I thought then, I went a certain stage to another institution. I thought, no, I want to be in an institution that shares my values. That you can never tell that totally before, but I found here warm, open people, and on a mission really to grow the academic reputation of the organisation, and that just fitted my approach.
Totally.
It matched it. I thought maybe what it was, I felt I can make a difference here.
And we have clearly seen it.
And it plays to my strengths, do you know what I mean?
Totally.
Because there's some situations wouldn't play to my strengths at all. But so when I came over and saw the place and spoke to some people and spoke to the then chair of court, I thought, yeah, I fancy trying for this.
The first modern university in Scotland must be Napier.
Indeed.
I'm sure Ryan would be dying to ask about your experience of sports while you've been a student, or even today. We don't know. Off to you, Ryan.
No, I had a question about that. Before we go into that, I had a question about. So you arrived here at Napier 10 years ago, and it was 10 years ago, you said, and I assume it took you a while to get settled in for a bit, and then it got to a point where you started making changes. What would you say that the first biggest changes you made here were?
There were probably two changes. One that you would see from the outside was we had a system of faculties, schools, and research institutes. We took a layer out. And said, right, we're just going to have schools. We're not going to have faculties on top, and all our research institutes are going into our schools to actually connect. I passionately believe in connecting research and teaching and education. And that was a big change. It was supported by academic board, and it was a change. So it kind of streamlined a bit. The second change was changing the academic promotion criteria, and there were other changes, but promotion and how we recruit academics. And that, I believed, was the right thing, still do, but it was hard for staff because it was changing the goalposts. And, if you've been in one set, one environment, and suddenly somebody says, well, actually, I do value what you do, but we actually need other things to happen as well. And that was hard for people. So, yeah. But,
I get it.
But it was the right thing to do.
Yeah. Change is
hard.
Change is hard. A lot of people find change really hard. And even some of the stuff we've been doing and trying to change, not on the same scale as you've done, but even some in the student side of it. And we see our goal that we'd be improving, be better for the future, but students will be like now and trying to balance that almost.
Yeah, but you see, it's not the same as me. But you're working with thousands and thousands of people. I don't have as many people as you're working with. If you're trying to I think really important, the longer I've been in leadership position, is being able to articulate the why you're doing things. And you can't say it often enough. Just have to try and win people over, because and that's hard to do. It's hard to do with students of other lives and they're not maybe here full time or whatever. So that's a learning for me, is the why. If you don't have a good reason for doing it, people won't buy in the same at all, really.
Yeah.
I think in our positions as well, we have been able to read it. I do not know if we have gotten to the extent of completely executing it and winning it over. Short time. Right? We've been
You
what?
don't have a long period.
Yeah.
We don't have a long period of office, but I think personally there's a lot of little stories that are unspoken, as they say, the non-tangibles. They are quite moving, and I think, like you said, understanding that why, and sometimes you don't have to speak, people connect to it, and the whole change happens. It's marvelous. It's marvelous.
But also, I think, and I don't know if you probably realise it now, but maybe you didn't at the beginning. Something I may not have said it yet. I said to say to student officers is, you have tremendous power within the university. You've a tremendous opportunity to influence the university. And certainly, I found that in other jobs, that when the students were on board and the students had a passion about something, the whole community was, oh wow, the student, really listened to the student voice. And so I think you've got very important roles in the university. We think of on academic board, on the university's governing body, so much opportunity to influence decisions.
Which we bought in very well, I guess, isn't it?
I mean, to go to the Wales team, realised what we had. I mean, for me, when I first applied, I was thinking, I help run some sport clubs, or moved it from building campaigns here and there. Didn't realize I'd be sitting on the
University
governing body making decisions about finances and estates plans.
Exactly. And but it's amazing. It's been an amazing experience just sitting there and sitting over here on the other side of it as well, and experience firsthand. So been a really enjoyable experience so far.
I hope it's been a good experience.
Yeah.
It's been good because people bought into the discussions that we've had and the things that we brought onto the table. What's your observation of our presidency here at Edinburgh Napier Students Association, Andrea?
About this team?
Yeah.
Fantastic. I think, I'm not just saying that because I'm on camera. I actually believe it. I actually believe it. You're out there, you're connecting, I see all the activities you're going. You probably think, oh, I wish I could have achieved more, because sometimes we move a bit more slowly. But it made a huge difference. We're going to get those sports fields. High water, we're going to get them. Hopefully before you demit office, right? Maybe you have to stay on for another year to make sure it all happens.
You never know.
And then I also think the world is my oyster.
That's true too. But you don't need to rush.
Totally. I remember, like you said, the second day of my office was my graduation time. It was baptism on fire. I was on the pedestal and I was asked to deliver a speech. I was quite thrilled, and I remember Andrea always looked at me and she goes, that sign of hope and mutual respect for somebody who is very young, and appreciation of what that person is.
In front of 2,000 people on the second day.
Yeah,
phenomenal.
I enjoyed it. I think.
Very good speech as well. I remember his speech. Very good.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Thank you. How do you think I lost all my hair? And today the beard as well. I put in an effort to come like that, Did you enjoy playing sports?
I did. I haven't played them though. Once we had children, it just seemed to fall off the agenda, But I did. In school, I used to play a lot of basketball, and I did swimming, and then I started tennis then. I played tennis a lot. My husband and I both played a lot. Until we had children, then the life seemed to change. Then it's hard to get the habit back.
Totally.
It's hard to make that, build that habit of. So, in fact, I was saying to my husband just a few days ago, we must get back to tennis again, because you only have one person at home now. So,
is that your retirement plan now?
maybe a few other things. what they are yet, but I know I want to do other things.
Like you said, the opportunities keep coming, isn't it?
Well, I hope so.
We wish you all the best.
Thank you.
I started in 2014 as a guy who did not speak any English. And how I picked it up, interestingly, is the societies that I was part of when I did my undergrad. I, from a small town in Tamil Nadu.
Where did you do your undergrad?
I did my undergrad in Christ University, Bangalore in India.
Oh, yeah.
So this university was a completely different university where everybody spoke English. I went there and I was terrified. I remember lying on my mama's lap and I told her, Mama, I don't think I can make it. She said, come on, just go. Here I am today. And I picked up all this with the active participation of societies that I was part of. Starting in 2014, I remember going as a boy, trying to sing in front of the audience and people hooted at me. I had to leave the stage with tears in my eyes. And then it was a funny experience. Then I put myself in different spaces where I was actively involving myself with people. And I was doing engineering as well. So both two complicated things. Mm-hmm. And I picked up little skills and little skills and little skills where on the third year of my university time, I was leading flagship events in the university. That learning curve was so useful. And today I talk to my societies, which I represent, and tell them, it's happening. It's happening. And back then I had no clue all these were things that I was learning. How was your experience of your university time compared to what we have now? And my story is this, but what was it like for you learning from other things outside of classes?
Well, the veterinary degree, certainly at that time, I went to university in Dublin. The veterinary degree was very full on. It was 9 to 5 most days and Saturday mornings. Did anatomy on Saturday mornings, anatomy dissections. So it was full on, and we were in a profession where there was maybe 55 people in the year. All your friendships were in that group, and we did a lot of things together, and it was a good experience. And then it's compulsory that you do 6 months working on farms and in veterinary practices. So it was very busy in terms of the course and the commitments, and then I had to work during the summer too to get some money to do other things. So I didn't engage in many societies within the university, because the vet college too, where we did most of our work, wasn't where the university campuses were. It so happened, our course was transferred from one university to another when I was a student rep in third year.
Oh wow!
So we were together, and we weren't on the university campuses most of the time. So it was kind of a different experience. I still loved it. I loved doing, going out to practice and learning that way, but it was different.
Understanding from what you just said, you've had summertime jobs. What was your favorite part-time summertime job that you have done?
Well, I only really ever did one. Because I went back every year, which was I was a domestic in a hospital.
All right.
So I used to collect the dishes, wash them, dry them, set the trays, go in and out from the different wards in this hospital in Dublin. And I liked the people. It was a good job to have, and they said you can go back. So I used to go back every summer term.
Do you miss playing piano while you're traveling? I'm sorry, that's a leap of a jump from. I know with your role today, we see you.
I'm never traveling that much. I have a piano at home. I play it when I'm feeling tranquil and when I'm feeling not so tranquil. So it's a very good.
If I had known this before, I would have organized a piano here and.
So you can think about it.
What do you get to see on a daily basis, other than this beautiful view of the Edinburgh Castle and stuff like that? When you walk into the campus, that you see these students buzzing in with energy and stuff. What's that you think to yourself?
What do I think to myself? It gives me a little bit of a glow, an internal kind of, It just gives me a bit of a kick, I think. wow, isn't it amazing to be working here, to be leading this organisation? But isn't it an amazing place to be? It really does, genuinely does. And sometimes I think, oh, I don't recognise that group of students. I wonder if they are from the college, if we're here in Sighthill, or if they're from somewhere else, or, you know, so it gives me a real buzz coming in.
That's wonderful.
And this morning at our exec, we were looking at the future state strategy. Well, we haven't got it sorted yet, but it was so exciting, all the possibilities. I mean, it gives me a real buzz. I won't be here to see them all play out, but to think that we're in a position where we can really do, you know, invest in the estates and the infrastructure. So things like that can be a huge buzz.
Yeah, that's something to do with visionary leadership, which we see here. And it's clearly delivered, we see it.
So what are you guys going to do now? What's next for you? Did we persuade you to stay on for another year?
Maybe at the university, not necessarily doing the same role.
Okay.
Was that a job pitch right here?
I heard it. What about you, Opeyemi?
Yeah, I do side with you on this one, even though we don't side all the time, but I do side with you on this one. This year has been quite, you know, thrilling. It's a year of learning. I can't say all, but yeah, it's been a good year, and I feel like I want to do something next. I want another thing that's exciting, and I want to start a job. I want to experience working life, and just try something new, basically. So yeah, sad to leave, but yeah, I'm quite hoping for the next thing. I'm quite open to the next thing. So yeah, maybe as Geou's pitched a job, maybe we get a job at Napier and we don't leave and you see us all the time.
There you go.
Retaining our talent.
I see.
You know the group of people. You know what team to form, isn't it?
What about you, Ryan?
I'm considering staying on for one more year. I'm considering it. I'm only one though considering it.
We're passing it on to you. We're passing the baton on to you.
But yeah, I'm really enjoyed the role. I've loved pretty much all of it. Even some of the days that's been a bit stressful, a lot. Even like, for example, like last week I had a bit of a mistake where I booked a sports ball and some of the clubs now can't make it, and it's a bit annoying. And I go home and I'm like, oh, I should have checked a bit in advance. But I come back this week, I'm happy and getting stuck in again. And so it's good. It's been really good. So you never know. Maybe one more year.
That what Ryan said was very true. Sometimes we get disappointed, but then we've learned that skill to pick it up and run again. I was in a space and somebody was telling the story of world countries running a marathon, and it was a relay. So somebody was running very efficiently and they handed over the parchment. The other person who was going to pick it up and run dropped it. And they lost the race. They were all so worried because, not because they did not win the race, just because they did not realize that they were still allowed to pick the parchment and run. That's one thing which I think we've learned it from this role as student presidents, which is very, very impactful and useful. Answering to your question again, I would like to explore and experience the industry. The renewable sector is something which I'm looking at. Yeah, I think there is real future in renewable sector, and I feel personally that I need to serve wider populations across the world, and how do I add value to it? Renewables is one way. Like I've heard you speaking a lot about climate crisis, and we supporting from the university as a community, leading towards the UN SDGs and promoting and pushing a lot towards sustainability. What is that wider message that you would convey as a token of hope with all the problems that we see across the world today to our students and staff community, Andrea?
Well, yes, you could get yourself very, very depressed, couldn't you, if you were listed all the political, the climate, all the challenges we have. But I love higher education, as I said, because I have a great belief in people's ingenuity and their ability to innovate, and for the majority of people to work for the good. So I'm very hopeful. When I see people like you, I'm really hopeful that you'll save the planet. We'll start to save it, but that you will come up with the solutions. I am, truly. it's hard sometimes, isn't it, when you see such a bleak picture at times. But keeping positive, I don't need to say that to you, Geou, because I know you're positive all the time.
I try.
Being positive and basically doing what you can.
Totally.
In your own home, in your own neighbourhood, in your own community, with the people you will ultimately lead, doing what you can.
And I feel privileged to be here in Scotland because we are very well welcomed, even as internationals. We bring a lot to the table, and
absolutely,
it's very well received and appreciated as well. It's a real honor to be here, and you can see it. It's clearly diverse.
Yeah, I hope it's been really welcoming for you.
It is. It has been. It's a beautiful journey. Thank you so much for that beautiful time of sharing your stories from piano days to love and the journey of your growth into this leadership position, leading this massive ship. And we are very hopeful that this legacy would be passed on. Thank you so much, Andrea. And this is
Thanks, Sophia.
Happiness Project for everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you.